to the studio sessions. My name is Brooke, and we talk about movies every week. So this week, we have kind of a fun one. Not that talking movies isn't always fun, it is. And I'm the type that nerds out over the technical nitty gritty details. So, like, I love all of that. But I thought it would be really, really fun to talk about some of the really good books that I have read that have helped me and grown my understanding, really encouraged me in this whole process and in my skill set within it. So, before we get into that, of course, here are this week's studio notes. And you can see I am beaming because we have a lot of fun studio notes this week. A lot of fun studio notes. And not the least of which is I have not actually given my thoughts on Toy Story 5 since I told you guys we were taking our kids to go see it. So, number one is my Toy Story 5 reaction. We went with some friends to go see Toy Story 5, and I just I just love the characters. And I think a lot of what Toy Story 5 shows is that amazing balance between addressing the children watching and giving something to the adults. And Toy Story's always done this really well, in my opinion. There's always been a good balance between, like, jokes for the adults that are just not going to be anywhere near discernible for the kids, and then giving the kids some really fun moments also. It is a kids movie. I understand that. But Toy Story 5 is probably the starkest balance of that I've seen because the overall theme feels more mature, right? Like the overall idea of Toy Story 5, the I don't think I'll get into too spoilery of comments here. The reaction to tech and the impact that has. I mean, that's not something that my 7 and 9-year-old are really thinking about. That's not something that they're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah." That's just not their experience of that, but they will in a different level benefit from actually watching through in Toy Story 5 Bonnie go through dealing with it. They can empathize with that. And the overall arching theme of a balance with tech is kind of for the parents. And I think it's timely. It's so relevant. It's a conversation every parent is having, I think. And it's something that is constantly ever present that we have to think about both for ourselves and for our kids, right? Like this is focusing on the impact of kids, but really technology impacts all of us. It is something we have to think about. And so that was really interesting. And I thought they did it really well. And I thought it was beautifully animated, of course. Um, and I thought the new characters were really fun and funny. And of course, my girl Taylor Swift did the closing credit song, which was awesome. It's a really cute song. And it was just really fun, but it felt like there was just so much heart and there was so much care and value in the characters. Like I don't think any character I was annoyed by or thought they were useless or didn't know why they were there. Like none of that happened, which again, Toy Story has always done stuff like that well. The character development is astounding. So, so good. So, I mean, yeah, if I had to rank it at 10 out of 10 for me, it was really, really good. And I mean, I will always have a heart for the first Toy Story, of course. And we've talked about that. But this was a really good one for right now. A really, really amazing one for now. And I think, I mean, my kids are already asking if they can watch it at home yet. And so I'm just very, very happy that it was done so well. I'm really excited, and yeah, it'll definitely be one that we continue to watch and revisit. So another another good another good mark for Toy Story and Pixar. And then studio note number 2. These second two might be more cultural, but still relevant. And that is Taylor Swift got married. And there was so much hype around this. People that never talk about Taylor Swift were talking about Taylor Swift getting married. And I think the biggest aspect of the way that she did it for me was that I feel like is relevant to this podcast, right? Like, I'm a Taylor Swift fan, so her getting married, that whole thing will always have been a relevant plot point for me. But in the context of the industry, of navigating filmmaking in any way, I feel like there's a lot she does really well when it comes to making intentional decisions with, for her, what's a personal life event, but for all of her fans, for the world that she's so well known in, is eh, it's something that turns it for her into a production instead of just getting to enjoy it. The lengths to which she went to hide any detail of any of it. She didn't confirm the date. She didn't confirm the location. Those things did not get confirmed officially from her until after the ceremony had happened. And she had these tents covering everybody coming in. So there was a few celebrities that you did get to see. So you got to see some of who went. But there was 1,000 people that attended. Most of those were not seen. You'd see random people pop up and go, "Oh, they went. Okay." And then the day after, there was a bunch of people, a bunch more celebrities confirming on social media that they attended. They like posted a picture of their outfit for it and said congratulations and it was great party or whatever. It was people randomly out of the blue confirming and you're like, "Wow, they went too?" Okay. And yeah, no, it was airtight for most of it. Like the things that were kind of suspected before with some kind of confirmations didn't come from Taylor. They didn't come from guests coming. It was the NYPD making memos and things like that. It was those types of things that hinted at stuff. Nothing ever confirmed it until then. And I mean, the whole idea of the production was just massive. Um, the the level of set pieces being brought in and the number of guests was huge. I think there's some level to she was applying her storytelling to her wedding also. Knowing that people were going to be paying attention, knowing all eyes were going to be on it, but she still kept it for her and Travis, right? Like people knew, but she wasn't splashing all of the details all over. She intentionally decided when and what was released. And she intentionally made the decision she did to tell the story in her own way, to have this event play out how she wanted to because of her inclination towards storytelling. Not everybody approaches something like a wedding like a storytelling, and I could tell from the details I was seeing, the set pieces, the catering, the like, so much of it was storytelling. And so it was this massive production. And I mean, I, nobody's really surprised by that, I don't think. If you are, I don't think you've been paying attention. But yeah, it just made me think about that. And it was all everybody was talking about, really. I mean, even the people that were annoyed by it were commenting on it, and they're like, yeah, okay, we get it, but they were still talking about it. So I thought I thought it was an interesting way to see how the industry kind of functions in that way in life. So, yeah. And congratulations to Taylor and Travis. Okay, studio note number 3, because we also had this massive thing happen this weekend beyond the wedding. 4th of July. And not just 4th of July, which, if you are not an American, if you don't live in the United States, and you may or may not know, we celebrate our independence on 4th of July. We celebrate the birth of our country on 4th of July. It was the day that the Declaration of Independence was signed, and we became our own country. And so we call it America's birthday. And so this was not just a 4th of July, but it was the 250th anniversary of the 4th of July, July 4th, 1776. 250 years. That's insane. I really enjoyed some of the specials I saw. So there was a couple of them that I really dug into watching, which was The American Experiment on Netflix. Really, really fun. Really, if you're into like really deep historical detail, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It goes all the way from the very beginning through very recent times by the very end of it. So it was really enjoyable. It was, I think, 5 episodes, and they range from like an hour to an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes. And it was really, really interesting. There was definitely some stories I had not heard before, some details I had not heard before about certain events, but also like some of George Washington's letters that I had not read all of, some of the conversations that happened in the Continental Congress. It was really awesome. And the way they did it was really fun because they had interviews, but they also had reenactment. And so it was this balance of both that I thought they did really, really well. It kind of e- enveloped you in the story in that way, and would, take you into specific little scenes, but also was able to pull you back out into a grander picture as they were telling the story. So I thought it was done very, very well. And yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I also thought it was really fun. Disney did one um, showing the different histories of America that is represented in the Disney parks and in the films. And I thought that was really fun too. Yeah. So I really enjoyed those. If you've not seen those, I would check them out. And that is this week's studio notes. So for this week, I thought it would be really fun to share 5 books that I have read or am reading for one of them that have really either grown my understanding of the film industry, grown my understanding of filmmaking, grown my understanding of building a film business, growing my understanding of decision making and creative executive functioning, and um, also just encouraged me in that way. And so these are the five. And I will start with the first one being the one I am currently reading that I just started. So I actually physically have it with me, and that is To Pixar and Beyond by Lawrence Levy. And the subtitle or the subline is My Unlucky Journey with Steve Jobs to Make Entertainment History. So I'm only that much into it. And it is by the man that Steve Jobs sought out and hired to help grow Pixar, to help correct financial issues within Pixar. And it was right at the time that they were making Toy Story. They had not made Toy Story yet. They were in the process of making Toy Story. And so it was right around that time. And even just these beginning chapters have been so cool to see some of these behind the scenes because I always forget that Pixar did not start out to be a big dog like Disney. One, I'm sure some people may forget Disney didn't always own Pixar. If you aren't paying that close of attention to it, it can be an easy thing to forget, but they did not always own Pixar. So this was also before Disney bought Pixar that he started with them. And it is just so far a really cool look at building something when you have this amazing talent. You have these really exciting things to share, and you have to basically from scratch build the infrastructure to turn that into a business and a way you can actually share those things. I mean, just shifting to making a feature length film with Toy Story was massive. So it's really, really cool so far. I'm excited to keep reading it. I'll let you guys know once I finish it, but this has been really, really good. And so, just based off of the chapters that I've already read, I would recommend it even just as encouragement. Because he doesn't start out super optimistic. Pixar was in a really bad place in the beginning. When they first started, when they were doing Toy Story, it was not going great for them at that point yet. And Disney was still the big dog when it came to animation until Pixar came along and made Toy Story. And then Disney was smart and was like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna have to bring you into our house for this." So yeah. Anyways, To Pixar and Beyond by Lawrence Levy. Really, really good. The other one I want to talk about is one I've actually read a couple of times. One listening to audio, the other ebook. So it wasn't a physical copy of the book, but I did physically read it. Um, and that is The Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger, another executive of a studio, Disney, but he lays out his whole career starting at a local news station all the way through being CEO of Disney and making all of the massive deals that he made, like Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, just, just those few little things. And the lessons he learned, the experiences he had, the different stories he has from working with different people in the industry. The way he came into Disney was not straight to Disney. He actually was ABC first, and Disney bought ABC. So it's really, really an interesting story, and there are some really cool lessons that he imparts as far as, being in that business, being an executive or a CEO, being the cruise manager or director in that way, like making those decisions. And I really have enjoyed it. So I would recommend that one as well. And then the next two are just really fun. There is there's a little bit of technical things to it and functions of the industry, but it's just fun also. So there's two Warner Brothers books that I really, really enjoyed that were made for the 100th anniversary. Well, one of them I know for sure was the 100th anniversary. The other one, maybe it wasn't, but it paired really well with the other. So the first one is Warner Brothers 100 Years of Storytelling by Mark Vera, I think is how you say it. And it basically is this whole look at the history of the Warner Brothers studio itself from when the Warner Brothers started it, the different morphs it's had, how they grew into what Warner Brothers is today, and the different iconic movies they've made, and just really cool history from 100 years in the business. And then Warner Brothers Hollywood's Ultimate Backlot by Stephen Bingen, which was also really, really cool because it was focused on the backlot, not the business side of it, really. It was focused on the story and the history specifically of the backlot. So the sets and building that, how it changed at different points. They've got all of this massive archive of photos from there was one point where a bunch of it burned, and that massively changed how it looked after rebuilding and things like that. It's really, really cool to see how it started with just land and they built it into what became known as the backlot. So, really, really interesting. I really appreciated it. There was also some really fun historical things like this actor being in this trailer or bungalow and things like that that I thought was just really cool. Um and yeah, so I really enjoyed both of those. Those would be my book 3 and book 4. All about the Warner Brothers studios, but really showing the history, and through that history you do get an image of like how the industry functioned at different points in time. And so those have been really, really fun. I really enjoyed both. And the final one. This one is a much more technical one. Also very very practical heavy. So like it's getting into the nitty-gritty details of a lot of the process of making a film. And it's called The Real Truth. Real is spelled Reel, like a reel of film instead of Real. But it's The Real Truth by Reed Martin. And the cool aspect of this is while it does have all of these like practical tips and very bold, blatant explanations of how all the different parts of making a film function and like how you would have to go about certain aspects of it, things like that. And the nuance of independent filmmaking. Um it pairs it with really amazing stories from really, really cool, well-known filmmakers of when they ran into that problem or learned that lesson. And so it's not just, hey, here's your how to, but it's putting it into the context of, and here's real application stories from filmmakers from all over the industry, whether it's a director, producer, screenwriters, how to get your script read, actually read and given a chance. It's very, very well done. And like I said, it is very nitty-gritty and practical. So it's very information heavy. But there are some really amazing stories in there that are just really cool. And I feel like it is a very good starting point for like this is the reality of what this process looks like. Now, this does not wrestle with the streaming wars. So, the distribution side of things has changed so much. I feel like there's a lot of that could be kind of added on top of this, but it is very well done and immensely, immensely helpful to understand how certain parts of it function, the best approaches to certain parts of it, and what the reality of trying to get a film made is. Particularly when you're starting out, having no backing, you're not, you know, you're not a massive studio, and navigating independent filmmaking. So, yeah, those are the books I would recommend. They were a good mixture, I feel like. If you have any others, I would love more recommendations. Please leave a comment below if you have some filmmaking books that you've really enjoyed. Whether it's for like practical knowledge growth or just encouragement, because that can be really, really fun. And obviously, it is useful also. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any other books that you've enjoyed. And I hope you check these out. If you do and you have any of them that you would particularly really like, I would love to hear that as well. And yeah, I hope this was fun. I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope it was helpful. As I've said before, because I love movies so much, I love sharing movies with others. And I particularly love helping others discover this magic also. So I hope you had fun with this. If you want to see my first film I made, that I was reading some of these books while I was in the process of making it, you can head to the link in the description of this episode and watch my film Like a Butterfly. And I hope you enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts if you watch it. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye. The Studio Sessions is a Butterfly Entertainment production. You can keep up with all of our podcasts, YouTube videos, films, and other projects on our Instagram page. We are at Butterfly Entertainment Group. Thanks for listening.